Hey guys, welcome to the Real Deal video blog, and this week I want to talk to you about relationships and recovery. But obviously this is something that we've talked about before, more than once in fact, but I've got a little bit of a different angle on it today. I want to talk about drifting apart from people in recovery. So a lot of what people talk about, what people focus on in recovery is repairing relationships, taking your friends, your family who you've harmed, making amends to them. As we know, addiction can really do some damage to relationships, and the amends process brings people back together, repairs those relationships. And this is a beautiful process. It brings people together like nothing else, really. And the other thing that gets talked about a lot is meeting new people. Recovery is the chance to become part of a community, to build new relationships, to meet other like-minded individuals who are going to help and support you. And both of these things, repairing relationships and rebuilding new ones, are very, very important. If you want the best chance of staying sober, you'll definitely want to do both. You'll want to go through that amends process, and you'll want to surround yourself with positive influences, people who care about you, people who want you to succeed. But there is another aspect of relationships in recovery that people really don't talk about as much, and that is the relationships that you lose in recovery. Relationships can end in recovery for a variety of reasons. The most obvious reason is when the relationships are toxic and they need to be cut out. This might be a toxic significant other that needs to go if you want to get sober. I think we've all encountered a couple like that at one point, just dysfunctional people who seem to feed into each other's dysfunction. And sometimes a romantic relationship like this can be one of the biggest obstacles to recovery. But toxic relationships can also include friendships that are centered around using drugs or alcohol. Many times people have a group of friends that they've been using or drinking with, sometimes for years, sometimes it's the people that they grew up with. They feel very close to these people. And often everyone in the group is some form of an addict or alcoholic or dysfunctional or mentally ill in some way. And these groups, these people tend to feed into each other's sickness, and if one of the group members tries to find recovery, they can easily be drawn back into that toxic group dynamic. And it might feel difficult to do this, but the best thing to do in this situation is to simply get away from it, to get away from that group, to stop spending time with them, stop communicating with them. Easier said than done, I know, and it can feel almost cruel to cut someone out that way, but it truly is for the best. It is not easy to cut people out, but the good news is that recovery offers many, many new relationships to fill the gap. And sometimes you might find yourself drifting away from people totally naturally, not through any conscious decision to cut them out. Not every relationship in addiction is toxic or needs to be cut out, but sometimes in recovery you'll find that you grow as a person and you don't really relate to some of the people that you used to as much as you used to relate to them. And that's okay. It's a natural part of life. It sounds kind of sad to drift apart from friendships, maybe friendships that you've had for a long time, but it's normal and it happens. A few years down the road, it is not uncommon to look around and find that the people surrounding you are completely different. You don't even make a conscious decision to do it. It just happens. And it shows that that's how recovery works. The changes of recovery are subtle and gradual. You just keep doing the right things, those things that you're supposed to be doing, meetings, working on yourself, pursuing those positive relationships, doing positive things, getting a job, going to school, rebuilding, and things start to change. It might not happen overnight, it might not even happen totally in a year, but one day you look up and you realize that everything has changed.